So guys, as you are probably aware, we have a franchise partner come in and we ask them questions at this stage of SMT. In fact, we've got our newest franchise partner today, which is kind of interesting. It's actually the first time we've had somebody pretty much in their first week of operations as a franchise partner come in and do SMT. But obviously we're really excited to have Benny Russell here. I won't actually talk about Benny at all because they're all in my questions. So feel free during this session to ask any questions you like. I've got some questions that I'll prompt, but it's more important that probably questions will come from you guys that you might want to have answered. Cool? Sweet. So mate, first of all, we'll talk about the life before vision. Tell us a little bit about it. This is your life.
I know. Never thought I'd do one of these. I suppose before coming to Vision, I was just kind of looking for purpose and direction a little bit. Come out of a pretty dark moment in my life as well. And then prior to that, it was like 10 years of hospitality and retail. I trained as an actor as well and was pursuing that. But now looking back, doing a job like this, realising I was not nearly pursuing it hard enough or getting in the door or anything. I was kind of waiting for it to happen. I think a lot of people without that level of accountability or knowledge in any industry will do that. It was pretty, if anyone looks back at photos of when I first came to Sydney and Vision, even my mates were like, we were so worried about you. And within 6 months, everyone just knew I'd found my place. I was so much happier in myself, seemed to be way more driven. People still say it now. They're like, wow, what a difference.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, funny, I was back on some photos actually when I was with Feed. We came out and had a look at the studio on the weekend. I said, Benny's changed heaps actually. And we started scrolling back on his Facebook feed when he first started the Vision that many years ago. Far out the change, man. It's crazy. Yeah.
Way more mature, way bigger, new fro on top.
Absolutely. So tell us, mate, what attracted you to Vision in the first place? How did you come across?
Honestly, I came from Canberra, had never heard of Vision, asked some people who had owned businesses in Sydney, hadn't heard of it. I had actually, it's come full circle because I actually applied, moved to South Coogee and applied at Rosebery, Mario originally, and never heard back. And then because I was on that link, Bondi Junction and Rose Bay contacted me and went to both, and just so happened I'd come right at the end of a group class. Every single person at Rose Bay said hello to me, the energy was really high, and I just immediately was like, I want to be here. I want to be here. And then now I'm living in right by Rose Bay studio. I'm coming all the way back to East Lakes where the Rosebery territory was. So yeah, it's come full circle, honestly.
Yeah, awesome. So, Mo, I know you're pursuing your acting, as well as doing your PT, right? So, from memory, I think you were doing your PT in the morning, and then ducking off and doing your acting work.
Yeah, there's some
in the
big
afternoon,
ones.
Right?
Yeah, especially that first year. I think I had 2 shows on, so I'd literally do I was the kind of trainer who'd do people at 5 a.m, book them at 12:30, but just do them anyway. So 5 till 1, and then race straight over to the theatre, get changed, rehearse or bump in for whatever I was doing, and I'd do that almost every night throughout rehearsals, and then definitely every night during the show. Somehow managed to pull through, but where there's a will, there's a way.
What sort of shows did you do?
Huge range. In Sydney, I've only ever just done normal stage, so there was...
It was mainly Chippendales, wasn't it?
Chippendales? No, there was that's the one. Home and Away. I've never done Home and Away, thank God. One day it'll happen. I'll give up. I've got a movie coming out this year, actually, coming to cinemas, called Numbered Lives. It's got Jeremy Piven in it. So
nice.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm still trying to do bits and pieces, but more of my focus is here right now, and as you know, long term, to be able to leverage out and do that stuff again.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. So what made you want to then go from PT? How long were you a PT before you went into management?
Oh man, we've got COVID to thank, really. That first year, I only ever went, yep, it's a 12-month plan. I'm going to set myself up, I'm going to go and do this and this and this. And by the time we got to the end of 2019, I was like, yep, I've got all these tours, this, that, ready to set up. And then suddenly we went into the shutdown. It was like, what am I going to do? So I kind of put the blinkers on and put my focus a bit more on what I was doing. And then kind of went, right, I want to be senior trainer, right, I want to do this, right, I want to do that. Ended up having the highest retention in the studio I think it says somewhere in the network, but I don't know if that's actually true, but it was very high. It was like 80% or something for that year once we got back. And then there was just a natural sort of flow on of like this, and then finally the point got to, was it 2022? And I basically said, I'm ready to move up or move on. I'm kind of setting up my own thing, and do a bit of this, bit of mobile PT, whatever. And the manager at the time, Jess, was like, I'm ready to go. I want to do something else. I want to go study my master's. So the position became available. We gave it like a 3-month sort of probation to see where it was. And in that first year, grew at 30%. So clearly good for the job.
What do you put that down to?
A high level of accountability, high level of expectations on myself, and not being afraid to put the extra hours in. Like, I've never been afraid of doing 80, 100-hour weeks. I think the hardest part is making the calls, going up to people, doing that sales side of stuff. But yeah, never been afraid of a little bit of hard work.
Yep, cool. Any questions? Paulie?
What was the real challenge that you found yourself when making those transitions?
Into which stage?
From like departing something that's like acting, you seem to be very passionate about, into a secondary passion, which has now become, is it become your first? Is it competing still?
I think now it definitely has become my biggest passion. I can remember acting comes with like a level of anxiety about everything, and it's wonderful to be out there and doing those, sharing those stories and all that. But realizing that every single day I was going home, no matter what the stresses were, really proud and happy that I was having an impact. And every day I'd say that to people, like, I'm having an impact on someone's life every single day. That's way bigger than what I used to do. And still, like, moving into now ownership has been like, well, I do still want to be able to do that stuff from time to time, but the reality is you might get 1 or 2 jobs a year, 20 grand. You can't live on 20 grand. You probably need to take a bit of time off to be able to do that. So realistically, I need something that's going to funnel me money and time in the back end. And that is obviously owning a successful business.
Mate, tell us about your reporting relationship between you and Aaron. How does that roll?
I mean, good. It scales depending on the necessities of the business and also how my own reporting's going. So if I fill everything in really well, I don't hear anything. And no news is good news, right? Sometimes I even have to reach out and go, oh, did you see that? He's like, yeah, I'm reading them. I'm reading your reports. It's all good. So I think that's probably the biggest one. There's more higher levels of accountability in pressure times. And then obviously if things are running smoothly and I'm writing everything in my reports, it's fine. And then during this pre-opening, obviously wasn't doing much in the way of reports, so it's more just been phone notes and voice notes.
Yeah. So Aaron, how often would Aaron go, or when you're managing, how often would Aaron go into the studio?
If I was lucky, once a week. Definitely once a month. Most of the time he'd be there outside of hours and just going, oh, this is dirty, this is this is it. I'm like, mate, you haven't seen the chaos this week. Just settle down over a bit of dust. But, he's that 1%ers, right? I'm seeing kind of the macro and he's like this and this and this.
Yeah. So how's it benefited you in that he's like literally out? And
huge. I mean, some people are going to need more of an arm around the shoulder. I'm a person who, give me a bit of direction and let me just run with it. The more barriers I hit and have to face, the harder it's going to be, the more frustrated I'm going to get, and the more likely I'm just going to go, I'm done, see you later. Allowing that, this is your expectation, what are you going to do to reach it? And knowing and trusting that I'll be able to do it has allowed me to, grow the studio, open my own business, win 2 yearly Manager of the Years in a row. So I wouldn't have been able to do that if he was constantly coddling me or trying to run the business.
Yeah. So what do you reckon you did to successfully grow that? What are the specific things that you focused on so that you could, right now it's like Rose Bay's #1 in the network, right, on PaySmart.
East Lakes is bottom.
And East Lakes is bottom, right? We'll talk about that in a second and your thoughts around that. But he's actually been able to hit #1 whilst they've been transitioning, obviously, Benny out of management, Drew into management. And then we've got obviously Aaron trying to focus on the both studios.
Well, we're lucky we obviously got that boost in the first year, and then we sort of maintained and reassigned and did different things into the second year, and then obviously into this year has then been, all right, who's going to be Drew's team? How much support is Drew going to need? What does Drew need to actually know and do to be able to run it effectively? But initially, I just remember going, Rose Bay was the dark horse, and probably still is, not using anything. And I was like, why? Like, I get it. It can be really frustrating, and certainly as a PT, I hated the systems because I didn't do enough to understand them.
Yep.
Now, as at the level I am, I'm like, just use them. Oh my God, there's so much you can be doing within that system. What is it, Furphy always says? Know the system so well, they'll make him your bitch, right? It's a great one, and it makes total sense, but that was a big thing. I went, right, back into shopping tours, seminars, back into tracking, back into reports, back into everything else, and making sure that was kind of aligned, and then getting the team more in a results and sales focus for the initial parts. And then myself, I mean, God, some Fridays, as any owner would probably know, ending up at 8, doing stuff on a Sunday, doing all that. It wasn't till I got better at those tasks that I was then able to reduce them and assign them better.
Yep, absolutely. So in order to grow a business by 30%, you've got to focus on sales, right?
Yeah.
Tell us all about that as sales management, your own expectations around sales, that sort of thing in the studio.
I mean, we used to just sort of go, oh yeah, 5 sales a week. I think it's grown to more of a every day. If you don't sell, you need to do everything in your power to book an IC. No matter what, that's the requirements every single day. You need to be layering across every single focus. Like, yeah, I know that with your trainers, you might be focusing 1 week on VAP or 1 week on retention, but you as a manager literally need to go through that checkbox every day and go, have I spent time on all of these behaviors? And we're all going to go, oh, but I had this to do. Oh, I had this one-on-one. Oh, I had this. Doesn't matter. You need to go through every single day and go, did I call and ask for referrals? Did I go out to the cafes? Did I double check my Facebook and check that, the CPL and the CP sale is actually what it should be? Doing all those little things. And it shouldn't be a hard task.
I think that comes from the fact that you're a workhorse, right? That's why I think the big difference is. People actually allocate so much time, and that time they allocate is not enough to get everything done. Whereas what you do is you'll just work as hard as you have to get the task done. Yeah. Your work, probably you could argue, he'll work harder, not smarter. Sometimes that's okay, and they'll probably get to a point where he'll go, right, that's going to be different for me. I'll start working a little bit smarter, and that might be a cash flow thing as well. Yeah. That might change in that situation. Tell us about other stuff, mate. Like you talk about the reports, right? So I know that you've been bang on the reports all the time, right? You changed your philosophy and you actually report into Aaron, right? Yeah. Can you be a bit more specific about which reports that you make sure that you focus on?
I mean, management, it was just sort of report to Aaron to go through the dailies, go through the weeklies, and then the rest of them, I'm a data guy. Like, I love looking at all the other stuff, and I think we've had a bit of back and forth about making things a little bit better and more streamlined for what we're actually using. So I love that stuff, and obviously Voss is just a massive CRM, right? Like, there's things you could be able to do with it. But now, I actually missed them during the whole pre-opening. I wasn't doing them. I kind of like missed them, so it was really nice last week to get back on top of it. And yes, Aaron reads it, yes, you guys read it, but more than anything, it's for me to actually reflect on my day and go, I could have done that better. Oh, I need to remember to do that. I think it's too easy. Like, if something doesn't get written down, I don't do it. That's why I always have a notepad next to me. Always, every little thing, and then I just kind of flick through it. Otherwise, it's never going to get done. It's never going to happen.
Yeah. So from a behaviour style point of view, what's your primary, secondary?
ID.
Yeah, right. So, and that's great, right? ID. So realises what does he need?
Structure.
He needs a structure, and that's really cool because he actually goes, I'm this, but I know that I need that, and then utilises that, which then helps him to bring out the other side. A lot of people don't do that, mate. They'll actually go, I'm an I, so I don't like that.
Which I was for all of my life until I had good mentoring and good focus. I was like, I hate routine. And either my mother used to say, you need routine. And it wasn't until, probably the last maybe 5 years that I've gone, oh, okay, I get it now.
What made you get it?
Well, it wasn't working, was it? What I was doing previously wasn't working. And suddenly I was doing it, I was feeling happier, I was achieving more, stuff was getting done. I felt way more in control of what I was doing. But you ask most of the staff and they'll say I'm an S. And I'm like, I got no S in me whatsoever. Just because it's become that, yep, timeline it out, structure it out, do all those things. And it actually gives me more freedom to do other stuff and not become overwhelmed.
Yep. Cool. Anyone? Brad?
So Benny, obviously you're starting on your journey from moving from management to owner. Mm-hmm. And we've got Jack who's about to do that too, and obviously some others will have aspirations to do that. What has been your number one learning, and what advice would you give to the other people who've got aspirations for that?
I'm very impatient. As poor HQ has had to deal with on numerous occasions. I think, realise that it's going to take twice as long. It's probably going to cost 50% more than what you expect. Be patient, be resilient, be prepared to do those hours. Don't rest on what you've done previously. I took the studio from 22 to 33K, and that was very, very challenging because your turnover becomes a lot more. But right now I'm going into an area where realistically it has a lot of people moving in and out. So they don't really know us in that area. So going from 0 to 10 is taking a slightly different approach as well. I mean, I had planned, I think in my business plan, to open with 70 or 80. And we started with, I think, 30. We're now almost at 50. So, it's just be patient, expect it to cost a bit more, be fast with the micro, slow with the macro, all of those sorts of things.
That's only 2 weeks of operations. Going from 30 to 50.
It's still not good enough for me, you know me. I won't be happy till we're number one.
Where does that come from, Benny? Because you look at, a lot of people don't have that. They don't have that inbuilt expectation. You have got this, I know, inside you, as we spoke about on Saturday. You've got this drive inside you that's your bare ass minimum, that you literally want to get to number one.
I think you have to be. I don't think you can be in an industry that, you're in a sports field, right? That in itself is competitive. The people around you are competitive. That's how you become some sort of leader, not by forcing other people to do it, but showing that nature in yourself. It's got to have some kind of game and play into it to make it enjoyable, right? If you're just focusing on numbers and this and that, if it's not some sort of little bit, it's not going to happen. And I think you have to be. It's a sales industry as well. You have to be, I want to be the best, but also be out at the end of the day, and this is my problem, go, all good, to tomorrow, that kind of stuff. But also, I think I said the other day, the fees have started, right? All the fees, I think the loan's about to start, this is about to start, and I've just gone, explain to me how any studio is below 10K. Really explain that to me.
Mate, top tips for running a successful studio, would you say?
It's just the 8 R's, really, isn't it? You yourself need to be a role model. My biggest mistake early on in management was 5 months. I just finished a bodybuilding comp as well, so I was exhausted from it. But for 5 months, I didn't train or eat very well, and that affected, yes, I worked hard, but I was burning out quickly. You've got to set yourself time aside to train, to eat well, to be on the floor. Time is so important. Don't hide yourself away. Get there and spend time with your clients and your trainers as much as you possibly can. Then obviously go through the results every week. We're there, we're paid to get results. Are you yourself actually challenging it and looking through and making sure that your trainers are getting it? I will always say, not that everyone will agree with me, but reputation before retention. I'm the kind of person who, if it's going to protect the reputation of the business to just let someone go, a client, I'll do it, without a question. Whereas other people will be so picky to try and get a couple of dollars, and I just go, guys, reputation, focus on that. Even ask them, hey, if I let you go, can you write me a 5-star review, or can you refer someone to replace you? And they're probably going to be a bit more understanding to do that. And then, literally rolling through the 8 R's every single day would be big. You do it for your trainers, why aren't you doing it for yourself?
When you say that, Benny, are you talking about the 30-day period?
Yep. So obviously, I'll reduce the 30 days. But if somebody's just being a pain, I'll be like, okay, no worries. Call you in 6 months, see how you're going. Because it does. Reputation comes before retention, right?
Yeah,
Exactly. So like,
it does.
is it really about a couple dollars, or is it about protecting your business? I mean, that's a decision obviously to make. You don't want to just let someone go because they're being flaky. But sometimes.
Yeah, got to judge that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Another question?
What did you do from bringing Rose Bay from 20 to 30?
A lot of hours. A lot of hours. I think there's a little bit of luck involved as well. I think we were just coming out of that post-COVID slump where people were like, okay, we're not going back in. So it was kind of good. There was an easy way to call a lot of dropouts, to go vapping a lot, to ask for referrals. Like, it did do quite well, I think, in that regard. Because certainly when we got to the second year, it was almost just like hold. Like, it'd be one in, one out constantly. And I think our average sales dropped from near 3 to low 2s for the second year. So yeah, there definitely wasn't as much coming in. But yeah, I mean, you know, I've started door knocking for East Lakes. We've got Drew now door knocking as well. And that's like, you're going to need some big balls to be able to do it. But it's not that bad. It's really not that bad. It's honestly, I prefer it to cold calling because someone's normally in front of you. And you can be a lot more friendly. They've got a face there. They're a lot more like they're interested in what you want to say. So it might seem scarier, but it's more effective and less scary than cold calling or calling that follow-ups list.
Did you pick up on something what Ben just said there in the middle of that? Sales dropped from the 3s to the low 2s. What if you grew? If everyone just did that, where would they be? I think that's the biggest challenge. If everyone just made sure that they had Benny's got a standard, what's your generally your bare ass minimum standard or expectation of yourself each week when it comes to sales, as you're growing Rose Bay?
It was like do 6 consultations, which was to book 10, which was to then talk to 400 people per week. We tried to aim for 500, but it rarely happened.
Sorry, talk to.
Yeah, like
Conversation.
you guys got your business plans in front of you, right? You got your numbers there? Go put in what you want to grow by. Go talk to that many people.
Yeah.
And like a show rate can be hard to discern, but I'd say it's 66% average. 1/3 just won't rock up. It's just natural. That's probably the biggest thing. I think one thing that did help that move the needle slightly forward, it probably still didn't do enough, but was to get an envelope, because we've got about 50,000 of them at Rose Bay. I don't know why, John. I don't know what you've done. There's just there. There's the whole stock room is just envelopes. But I get it, and I'd write the person's name, and I'd write action plan, and I'd send them a photo saying, can't wait to see you tomorrow. And I'd just throw the envelope out. But it would just create some sort of like, oh, what's this about kind of thing. Probably improves it 10%. But, you know, that's 50 less people to talk to at the end of the day.
So how much time would you spend in order to do that? How much time a day were you actually spending on sales?
Sometimes an hour and a half, sometimes 8 hours. Sometimes you go out for 8 hours and you wouldn't get a single lead. And you just got to go, okay, cool, next. Some days I swear, one day I walked out the door to go for a coffee, not even to VAP, and I picked up 5 leads. 2 of them had seen me out previously. 1 was for her husband. 1 was a dropout, and then 1 just random. And I was like, this is after 2 days of like barely getting anything. So you just have to be there. You just have to make the conversations. People don't know who you are. They don't know how you can help them. The whole purpose we get into this industry is to help people, right? So go find out what their problems are and if you can help. If you're not doing that, you're just doing a disservice.
It's pretty simple, right?
Wild.
Question?
So
Did you set any metrics for your trainers from a sales point of view? Or was it just purely yourself doing the sales?
So we initially, to get that growth as well, we set like a pretty insane alignment, which was literally bottom rung was like $5,000 holiday pay right up to like $20,000 holiday pay. Like it was insane. They only achieved the first one, but at least they achieved something. And then I wanted them for it, so I put in the effort as well. But now we've got biannual hours and retention holiday pay that they can earn. They've also got quarterly holiday pay they can earn by netting 3. So on top of their usual commissions, you go, great, that's going to support retention and that's going to support growth. Seems to work okay.
Where's that sales mindset come from in the studio?
I mean, I would assume Aaron.
Yeah. He's always been really big on sales, right?
Yeah, well, he grew. What did he take it to before COVID, Sean? It's like from 16 to 27 or something?
I sold it to him at 27.
Yeah.
When did you start?
6 months before you sold it.
Yeah, Benny was probably my last hire, I think. Still got your contract at home. I think. Yeah, he signed.
Comes back.
Yeah, 27, I reckon. And then what, after COVID, you were at 22?
Yeah.
That's about right. Yeah.
So that's a big growth, and that was without Facebook, right? That was no Meta. That was just on the ground hustling. I can remember my first 2 weeks doing my rookie program. He'd just come in and he'd go, right, come here. And we'd go out for 2 hours, walking around the parks and go, this is Benny, one of my new trainers. He wants to do a free session with you. Great, boom, boom, boom. Like, you know, freshie just going, what is happening? But, you know, it, again, got me in that mindset. Yeah. And they could see it as well. Like, I can't remember what it was back in the day, 200 or 50 bucks or something, retainer, something like that. And I was like, I just want to get this done as quickly as possible. So I was in there 40 hours doing that. And they're like, okay, see what this kid's about. Great, let's go out, let's get him some clients. And my first client from Rose Bay lives in like Clovelly towards me, and he was at Rose Bay, and he goes, oh, I'm going to move to East Lakes with you. So it was a nice little moment.
Cool. So I'm going to ask you, Johnny, so where did Aaron get that sales drive from? Which has been continued.
Again, his life experiences, his upbringing, it's his hunger and drive internally. But one of the greatest things that happened for Aaron is the old opportunity every crisis. He was probably maybe a year and a half in to his employment with us, and he went to Thailand and he fell off the scooter and broke his leg, and pretty badly, and so he couldn't come back and do any PT. He was like in the cast and the crutches and stuff, and he was doing 40, 45, 50 hours of PT a week, and I sponsored him because he was this young English kid, right? So I was like, sweet, we're going to pay this guy his salary, he can't do any PT. So I said, how can we make up the hours? And he said, sales. I'm interested in sales. So he went from doing, half an hour of VAP a week, 50 hours of PT, to sitting in the results room with his leg in the cast up on the desk, 40 hours a week of calls, consults for a month. And I think that was it. I think he went, oh, I'm fucking good at this.
I think any manager or owner doing excessive amounts of PT is just a massive disservice. We made an agreement even for East Lakes that I would not take on PT. The only PT I've taken on some free business trials, they'll probably join and I'll give them to other PTs. Scott's doing a program with me at the moment, there he is, and the landlord.
I was going to say, landlord.
I train, what's our average session rate? $71 or something at the moment. And I said, yeah, if you train with me, it's $90 a session. So, yeah, he's happy to do that 3 times a week. So I'll do it. Yeah. $270 bucks.
Nice.
Did you charge a joining fee with him?
Huh?
Did you charge a joining fee?
Yeah. I mean, he charged, I had to pay my bond. It's 120.
It's pocket change for him.
Oh, it is.
It's hilarious. He makes Aaron and I look like high S's.
Oh.
It's hilarious.
Wow.
So funny. It's so funny. It's great.
Sorry.
You go, mate. You
for you. When you're at Rose Bay, obviously your transition over to East Lakes, the demographic completely different. How did your approach change from a sales perspective?
Weirdly enough, it was much easier. I think the people in the Rose Bay area can be a little more stuck up, a little bit harder to approach, but once you do get them in, you can generally get a fair bit of upgrades, sales, referrals, whatever else, but they can be very hard to approach. Quite gated communities in that sense, but East Lake's very, very friendly, very easy to chat to people, but very hard to get, more cash. I think at one point we had discussed offering one a week, something I said I would never do, and then immediately upon approving that, the next 4 we sold with 3 a week, and I've not sold a single one a week. So the money's there.
Yep.
You just need to be doing it and having the right conversations.
I think even the time that I have been there with you through the build and whatnot, and I've seen you in that sales process, you don't treat anyone differently. So you'll even recognise those people that you know are not going to sign up, but your approach to them is exactly the same as it is to the landlord, or it is to your level of professionalism, and your sales approach is so on point. And I think that's so crucial, because everybody is different, but yet you don't change your approach.
I think when you're doing that high level of interaction, you need to fall back on a system, because it's the same as acting, right? Like you get, at the end of the day, you're going to fall back on the script. You can have your own flair, you can do the things, but the moment you're trying to do all these different things, you're trying to analyse what's working, what's not working. You know what works, just do it better.
So, mate, you're at around 50 clients now at East Lakes Week 2. How have you'll say that's not a good result, but how have you actually got those 50 clients? What's been the secret?
Obviously we had a pre-sales, we had meta running, we did flyers, did a lot of door knocking as well. Aaron got a couple of leads. I probably got the most leads. He was sort of doing mornings while I was at Rose Bay. I was doing afternoons. In fact, first client of the week, Tom and his wife Julie, just across the road. The very first store I knocked in, or got an answer from, wheelchair rocks up, and it's a lovely lady named Rachel. Do you know Rachel? No, you know Rachel, don't you? I thought she said she knew you. I'm sure she does. Presty?
Jeez, they're all coming out of the woodwork.
There you go.
All these school people coming out of the woodwork.
So she rocks up, and her mother comes behind her, and they both go, "Oh, vision." I'm like, okay, great news. Turns out Lynn, and Rachel has trained here as well, but Lynn had actually trained with...
Lynn trained here.
Simo, 21 years ago. I was like, oh my God.
You knocked on her daughter's door, right?
Yeah. So they were happy to get started. Great, we're on bottom level as well. Like, it's worked out so well. We've been having the best sessions, and she's so keen to, teach us a lot of things as well. But yeah, just a lot of hard work. And again, like, I had an aim to sell between 120, 140 and open with 80. So getting to 30 was like, oh. But also going, oh well, next. Now with the prime location we're in, a lot more walk-ins. So I'm kind of riding that wave at the moment, which is great.
It's good. So what are your goals then for this year, mate? What do you hope to achieve by the end of... You look back on that December 2025, what have you done?
I mean, have a guess what I'd like to crack. It's a pay smart goal, go on.
20.
Yep. I have a big issue not seeing green. Big issue. It's freaking me out. It's probably everything else on there is all nice and green. Everything's there, and that is just... So yeah, 10K as quickly as possible to pay the bills and to do all that, and then 15K to be able to pull myself a little bit of profit, and then 20K for ego, and then we'll just keep going from there. Yeah.
Nice. Any question?
What's the best time to do your door knocking? What's the best in terms of strike rate?
I've found that just after school pickup tends to be the best one. You can do it in the middle of the day if people are home. That's not an issue. Working from home, all that kind of stuff. It's not too bad, but definitely that just after school is the best. Now is the hardest because it's getting darker earlier, so you might have to change your approach. It can be very draining, like anything else. So 45 minutes minimum, 90 minutes maximum.
Nice.
And make sure, obviously, you got time to drive as well. Summer was tough. I probably only managed 40-minute blocks before I had to go back to somewhere air-conditioned and grab a water. But yeah, other than that, it's not so bad. You can probably do 200 to 500 flyers in a day, but you'll probably do like 50 houses, proper conversations.
So when you say that, tell us a bit more about that. So you're dropping flyers into houses and having conversations. Not just putting in the letterbox.
No, that's easy. It's great. If you give it to your trainers or whatever.
Right.
Don't let them go door knocking. Not to the
Oh,
big
so you're
train
actually
club.
not just delivering flyers into.
No.
You're actually knocking.
I'm opening the gate and I'm walking in. Aaron always said, I won't press if it's just got a speaker because it'll create too much of a barrier. I'm like, why not? You never know. It's no different to cold calling. But yeah, walk up, knock the door. Hey, so sorry to disturb your afternoon. I'm just opening a new personal training studio just on Gardeners Road. Have you heard of Vision Personal Training before? Oh, amazing. Are you doing anything yourself? Usual LTRQ. Well, we're currently offering XYZ. Would you like to come in and have a look? Whatever it might be. Get them in for a buyer scan. And generally, people are pretty willing to listen. I did use opening a new business for a while. It had slightly, not negative, but less of a positive reaction to opening a new personal training studio. Oh, it's mine. You could say, oh, I'm a new manager just at this personal training studio. Whatever you want to say. Just make it a bit more direct. Very quickly jump into the menopause stuff as well. That was great. That got about 4 of them in immediately. Oh, we're moving into a specialisation in perimenopause and menopause because it's not really looked at in the industry and blah, blah, blah. And they're just like putting their hands up, And it's something that as it becomes more part of what we're doing, it's going to be huge. Huge.
Everyone hear that?
Yes.
Huge.
We get it.
Very good. Any other questions?
I've got one. What are some of the recruitment challenges when you first opened it?
I actually cracked me up the other day. Got a healthy people application from a certain trainer, certain Natalie, for Rose Bay and East Lakes, and I was like, in what world? I think be careful. Make sure you're never hiring out of desperation. Be very slow if they're not willing to go in the slow process. They're probably not the right people for you. But in other times, you're going to know who the right people are. Like Zach and Shay, I think we ended up doing 2 interviews and we're like, yep, without a doubt, yes. And they are the highest performers right now, below Drew. So I think it can be hard. I think you need to know when to fire. I think you need to have a good supply line in. I think the rule of get to 80% of goal hours and then using the skills they've known, they should be able to replace that, and then bringing new blood in. If you're constantly trying to manage the rest of it, and you shouldn't have PT so that if on the odd chance you do have to get rid of someone on the spot, you can take that PT for a small amount of time, but you shouldn't have to do that. But yeah, the right people are out there. They're just not going to be available when you want them. Utilise the people in this room, utilise the people in the network, utilise your local cluster. Like, hey, I've spoken to this person recently. Does anyone else looking for one currently? Like, get that sort of chat going a little bit more. Recruitment is make or break your business, without a doubt.
You've been in a situation where you've kept the trainer for too long, and what would you have done differently? I mean, I'm reverting back to a conversation we had on the golf course at the conference in that cart.
And a year later, we got rid of him.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Well, he finally removed himself.
Yeah.
The problem is, like, it's hard when somebody's not inherently a bad person and the clients like them, but they're just not doing anything right at all. You're just kind of like, And then they do one thing wrong, you're like, okay, I'm going to use this. But it's like they sense something's coming, so they start acting way better, and you're like, God damn it. So I think that can be hard. So yeah, looking back to that, conversation, literally should have called him right then and there and gone, see you later. I think that was a real drag on the business for far too long. We just simply couldn't push beyond that growth because it was holding us back like an anchor.
Yeah. And it consumed a lot of time, right? Because I know you and Drew were like, it really
Time and energy.
Time and energy was dragging you down, man.
I think Aaron, Drew and I were sitting in a room one day and went, I'm sick of fucking talking about this guy. I don't want to talk about him anymore. But again, not inherently bad. Yeah. And I think it even says in the ID description, like, sees the best in people, way too trusting, seen as gullible. Like, that's the problem. I want to see the best in people at all times. I want to believe that they want to do better and be more, but the reality is some of them just aren't.
Yeah, absolutely. So you sort of touched on this idea, you get to 20K at the end of the year. What's beyond that? You sort of said, and go from there. What does it look like beyond?
I think that's going to be, that'll be when it probably gets tougher. Having done that journey, like, this is all new and exciting, and you know, seeing the way it's growing and attrition rates and all that. But I think once you start getting towards that 20, it's like, all right, now again, we're going to have to change tack. We're going to have to figure out what's going to get us to the next point. Not being afraid to say no, not being afraid to ask for what you want, not being afraid to put prices up, not being afraid to kick out the people you don't want anymore, like whatever that kind of is. It's making, I think getting to a good place is saying a lot of yes that you maybe don't necessarily want to. And if you've said that yes, instead of sticking to your guns and your ground, then you're going to have to make a lot of hard no's later. So if you want to get there faster, say yes, but realise there's tough choices coming.
Give us some examples of that.
Well, okay, let's say that you've let people come in on a ridiculously low rate, you've let people come in on 1 a weeks, you've let people move around sessions to try and be more, you know, so you don't lose them or whatever it is. Well, at some point, you know, you want to get yourself to that next level where you're going to have to set new higher standards. Or you've set them earlier on, but then it may take a little bit longer. But as I said before, like, we had considered doing 1 a weeks, and then since then have not sold a 1 a week, and we're on 2.2 average sessions, second highest in the network. 0.4. Like, and the other, and yeah, Rose Bay is 2.4. Like, you know, it's sort of, it breeds. Of course it does. All those little things flow on.
Secret to getting that from, rather than being at 2, somewhere at like 1.8, 1.9. What's the reason Rose Bay's at 2.4?
Because we've never sold a 1 a week.
Okay.
We just don't. And we do, twice a year, we do 2-for-1 upgrades. We regularly ask for it. We're very high on our stretch and mobility as well, which is another good one. To be honest, we've been doing those sort of sessions previously anyway. And credit, like being on that credit report, like anything that is, I can remember it being up at 60K once before I took over management, and we were just like, what is happening? I think our lowest has been 20, which at a studio of that capacity, like, that's pretty low.
Absolutely.
And you would think, like, trainers want to earn more money. There's a lot of legal complications in, you know, IFAs and all of that, but getting them to actually book the sessions, because certainly you don't want to have to be doing it. That's another role that you should be doing, but that expectation of fill your gaps with clients so that you don't need to be doing other stuff.
Yep, absolutely. Biggest lessons along the way, mate, that things that have kicked your butt and you've learnt from, or things you've done really well, you've learnt from?
Yeah, recruitment's been the biggest kick in the butt. There's been a few of those, either hiring the wrong person, letting the wrong person be in too long. Those lessons are going to happen. Nobody, even the best recruiters in the world, never get it right. You can ask all the right questions, put them all through all the right things, and it may take 6 months before someone shows their true colours. But it could also be the inverse. Someone doesn't necessarily do very well, but then comes out the other side better. So you're never really going to know, but just be ready to make those hard decisions. I think there was, certainly one case where one really kind of came back to bite me and could have been much worse had I not sort of documented everything really well beforehand. I think I've been really tough on myself in a lot of cases, which has, again, yes, achieved things, yes, done really well, but the dopamine never hits. But I think anyone who's gone after their goals kind of knows what that's like. So being okay with that and understanding that that is a reality, that you will work your butt off to achieve something and it will probably mean very little, like that's okay. It's the pursuit of that goal. It's that hunger, that competition, whatever it might be.
Anything else? Any other lessons?
I could probably write a book, but unless it's a specific example, we could sit here all day going through every single little point.
How many chances will you give the trainer if you think it's a wrong person?
Too many, apparently. Look, you know what? I think Robbie posted something the other day about doesn't matter like if it's an amazing person if they don't fit your core values. And I think that is very real.
Yesterday, yeah.
Like if somebody's not willing to do the 9-week client experience and give it a crack, and then you go, look, afterwards I don't really care what you do, but you have to at least give it your best possible go so that you understand what it is. If they're not willing to do that, see you later. You know, I've had plenty of trainers who I didn't hire that I wish I had the opportunity for, who did their fitness test, did all right, but then text me or call me later that day to say, hey, can I come back and do it again next week? It's like, Jesus. Like that really shows that, yeah, I care about what you guys sort of do. You can teach skills, you can't teach value, right? It's the old Navy SEALs or whatever, have the high values, high skills, like all that kind of stuff. So that's hard. That can be really hard, but yeah, it's the hardest one to get rid of is the high skills, low values. But they're the people that need to go quickly.
Vanessa?
Look at me. I have to say that one more time. For sure.
Cool. Any other questions before we wrap up?
Yep. So with the team that you've got, clearly you did a lot of the sales and a lot of door knocking and all the rest of it at Rose Bay. Did that drive the team, or how did you drive the team to be better? Because you need them to facilitate the personal training sessions and all the rest of it.
It depends.
Or did you do anything to inspire them to?
Well, you got to have the rewards in place. The expectations have to be set. The culture has to be set. If it's not there currently, it's either going to take a long time to get there, or you kind of get rid of a few people and then set the expectations. I think you have to set the expectation early on, and it's now in the top 10 trainer tips of like, you lose a client, you replace a client.
Yeah.
When you get forfeits, you need to be going out. Like, they need to understand that, like, vision is seen as kind of the easy way out, kind of the cop out with a lot of the people that we talk to. And I think the people you need to hire, you need to really help them understand, look, you can be the best trainer in the world, the most skilled, the most amazing, but if you can't sell, you won't survive in this industry. I'm so sorry to tell you, but that's the reality. Now, I can teach you those skills, I can help you, but are you willing to be a part of that journey? And it's changing the culture. You look at Rose Bay now, every single person there knows that they need to do sales that week. Nate doesn't want to do as much vapping at the moment, so he's running through that call list like absolute crazy. The 3 new ones have been incredible going for Hour of Power. They've been getting so many leads. Their next step is to book those leads straight into a consult on the spot and teaching that a little bit better. People, going out VAP, asking for referrals, knowing what the prizes are, knowing that's an expectation of their sort of role. And that can be hard when you've got a casual trainer job, but hire the right people, I suppose, get the right culture.
I think Drew's leading from the front, right? Because
of course.
He did not want to door knock.
You have to, though.
I spoke to him last week, and Aaron was like, mate, you got to get out there and door knock. He's like, I can't do that, Scott. I'm like, you can.
You're going to have to.
And he started doing it, and now it's like, it's literally just like a new consult. It's knocking on the door and introducing yourself. And he's taking that approach of, I'm the new manager, I'd like to introduce myself, etc., and then conversations happen from there.
Have a good reason. Definitely have a good reason, but as I said before, it's easier than calling. You're there. You're actually communicating with people.
And he's leading by example to his team.
Oh God, yeah. You have to lead from the front. If they see you sitting around, arriving late, leaving early, not getting consults in, if they're seeing pink in your book every single day and you're still going out to do lead gen, and they're not seeing that, then you've got to sit them down and let them reflect on it and go, do you think I'd walk away when I haven't achieved it? So you're leaving at 11 o'clock in the morning, why couldn't you do 30 minutes of XYZ? What's preventing you from doing that? You want to get to senior trainer, master trainer, you've talked about ownership, you've talked about this, you want to go on this holiday, well that involves you doing XYZ.
You pick up all these little things, right? It's all these little things that he does, you know, even just reflecting before, LTRQ, right? He knows the sales process really well. Obviously, Dr. J's stuff is taught through the work that Johnny's done with that, through Aaron's done with that, passed that on to Benny now. Benny's passing that on to Drew. Mate, what's the secret? Because you've left Rose Bay, mate, in a really great place, right? You must be pretty proud of that.
I think so. I'd like to see it grow now. I'd like to see it do 40K. I'd like to see it get Franchise of the Year. I think that would be unreal. But it's always scary stepping out, right? You never quite know what's going to kind of happen. Even though I have no dividend in it anymore, I have no real, it does feel like something that you've put a lot of work into, so you want to see it do better.
So why is it doing better? Now, even seamlessly, it seems to be Aaron's come in.
You talk about
so Drew's come in, and you're out now, and it's growing.
When you talk about LTRQ, I can think of, in my time as a trainer and a manager, probably 250 developments that have just been LTRQ, right? Like those things, those basics are just drilled every single week. You role play them, you drill them, you break them down, you do all the things. First team development I did with Eastlake. So I went, great, we're going to go through the 8Rs and we're going to break down exactly what activities you need to do to be getting those things and what they eventually lead on to and what they do. And we discuss and do all those things. It's written on the whiteboard out the front. Every time I'm eating food, I'm like, what's the fourth one? What's the sixth one? Just stuff like that. It's got to be like, you get bored of it, right? You get so bored of it. You know it. But just drill it, and they get better at it. And people go, oh, how do I approach a VAP? Hey there, sorry to interrupt. Do you live in the area? Right? Just change your tone a little bit. Do those kinds of things. We role play. PDR, whatever Dr. J says. So again, just knowing those things, they're there for a reason. For God's sake, just use them. I mean, I think we had a conversation the other day as well. It was like the people who aren't doing well get upset and then rally against the systems rather than just doing them better. They're there. You're paying enough money for them. You might as well do them and do them really, really well. So just use it. It's there. It's all written down for you. My God.
Very good.
I couldn't do it, Scott. I'd throw shit at people's heads, seriously. Because there was a conversation, a year and a half ago, someone had called me to ask about their trainer retention. And I went, bring up your franchise report. Great, what's your trainer stays? And they went, 840. And I was like, you don't have a trainer retention problem, but I can see on your dashboard you're at 1.3 or 1.4 average sessions. Fix that. Like again, just focusing on the wrong things. Yeah.
You just got to twitch.
I just get frustrated at the shit, mate. I really do.
Very good. Last question, anyone?
How's your, I would say, your acting career impacted your career for Vision? Do you feel like some of the success you had in your acting was able to sort of translate into the Vision business?
100%. I mean, obviously, just being a trainer, there's a certain amount of personality, presentation skills, being able to do social media. As you move more into sales and coaching as well, there's a lot of tonality. There's a guy, 7th level sales, I'm forgetting his name right now, but he literally went and did a year of acting training to get better at tonality and stuff like that. And he's, one of the best salesmen in the world. So yeah, 100%. I think vice versa, as I was saying before, I clearly was just waiting around for things to happen. With the knowledge I have now, if I could go back or in 5 years when I've got the time, knowing how to pursue things better. Yeah.
So what's your face mark going to be this Friday, Benny?
Probably 7.6 now. Well,
What's Barrackville?
is it even on there?
The 2 new owners. Let's go, boys.
Setting
Do it.
this up.
You can check.
Oh, we can check it on the day.
You guys can check, right?
You guys can check.
Too many buttons. 7. Let's say 7.
Don't worry, mate.
Sorry.
Don't worry, mate. We'll be flying past in no time. You know me. No, it's meant to be 8.
Yep.
7.6. Was going to be 8, but a couple of suspensions. It's fine. I'm fine.
Very good.
8-4.
8-4, Jack.
Oh.
There you go.
8-4 versus.
It's all
There you
right.
go.
See you in a week. I'll take another week.
See you another week. Very good. Guys, can everybody give Benny a round of applause? Thank you, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you.